Hi guys, let's make another video about ArcoNet. So let's boot up. You download it, you burn it on a USB, and then you boot up either with this line, Intel AMD, with this line, NVIDIA, hopefully newer NVIDIA cards, so NVIDIA DKMS is the package. There are other variants for NVIDIA drivers. And this one is if none of the above works. And this is the Linux kernel, and this is the Linux Zen kernel. So you can try out 6 things. This is a good one for VirtualBox, VMware, boxes, QEMU, all the virtual machines. Of course, you need to get to know what are the settings, right? What do I need to set? And one of the major things, or the main things, is the display of VM-SVGA. This time around, a few years back, it had to be something else, right? So it always changes. So change up your settings and spend the time to figure out what do I need exactly today on my machine to make it snappy. We are booting up in Xfce4. This is ArcoNet. ArcoNet is going to the net, going to the internet. The main selling point is the fact that there's an advanced option. The main downside is you need to have internet. So you need to have a cable, LAN cable, or the wireless has to work, has to be stable, because all the packages need to be downloaded. If you don't have internet, you're at the beach or on the mountain or whatever, this is what you'll get, right? You get Xfce. There is something. And it's actually a good idea to start with this as a beginner in Linux. And there is the ArcoLinux tweak tool. And it's super simple. You launch the ArcoLinux tweak tool and you say, I'm ready to explore other desktops. Xfce is there as a backup. I would always do that. I do that myself. The ISO builder is what I call the PC where I build all my ISOs, right? Has the same approach. I use Xfce as backup, and then you select any of these guys, right? And you say, okay, let's combine this with something, and let's watch all the videos about DK. Let's watch all the video about Dusk and get to know Dusk. Now, there's also another possibility, is just stay in a virtual machine, right? Doesn't hurt anything if you're in a virtual box, VMware, QEMU, or anything like that. But the combo is never a bad thing, right? Having a tiny window manager like i3, you mess it up, you can't log into i3, you've got Xfce. So it's not a bad thing to go for an offline and then later on do an ArcoLinux tweak tool installation. But you can do the same thing here, right? So choices to boot up. If you remember the graphical look, the blue look, then it's gonna be that one, the black one, and this has also icons, but at this point in time the theme needs to be fixed, and then we get double icons. If you don't mind that, then install refine may be also interesting. So install grub is what is default on so many distributions of Linux, and I choose English because I want to learn English terms, which I can then DuckDuckGo. There are already 2 kernels, but if you like to have another kernel, then you can do so by just selecting it. Drivers. Well, yeah, there are drivers on this machine, but not these guys, right? These guys are not on the machine. So if you recognize any of it and say, wow, I do need this one, because otherwise it won't work, you select it, it will be downloaded, installed, you boot up, you have it, okay? SDDM is already there, but maybe you like some more colors, other colors. This is the one that's already there, simplicity, but these guys are not there. So maybe you like other greeting screens. We're making a series about all the desktops, and it's easy to find. You go to Brave, I think will open it automatically. Let's see, yep. So we have here this release, the release of today, July release article. In a few months time that's gone, and you'll find releases 2024 every month. We make a release to show you what is new, how to stay rolling. So a lot of knowledge and time goes into this, and you can follow along what changed on my machine, and it can be so many things, right? So 2024-07, we started making a lot of videos, 31 videos already, about ArcoNet Advanced. And each time I explain something else. ArcoLinux is more than the 3 ISOs. ArcoLinux is learning about Arch. And we explain you that in this video. Here we talk about DistroTube, Derek Taylor, the Qtile config from him, and so on. Each time I touch something else. So a lot of tips in these videos. And I would like to put this in the video as well. And this one, right? This is the main page. Look at it. This is the content of what we are. There's a learning path, kind of a university without degree, right? But there's a reasoning behind starting with Xfce and then maybe try Cinnamon or Mate or Plasma, and then maybe OpenBox on i3 and Xmonad. There's a learning path, an idea behind it. And we are more than the 3 ISOs. So I hear sometimes people say, I can't boot, right? I can't install ArcoLinux. The ISOs of ArcoLinux are rubbish. I can't install it. I'm frustrated. Well, yeah, no problem, right? There is the Kali ISO, which is probably going to cause the same issue because Calamares probably. Ariser might be a thing. It's without Calamares, with scripts. Maybe that's something for you. 3 ISOs there. There's ALCI, again, Calamares. But we are learning. Here it is. ArcoLinux is about becoming an expert in ArcoLinux and actually in Linux, because so many knowledge that we share can be just used on DevOS or can be used on Susan or Linux Mint. It's different commands, but Firefox is Firefox everywhere and Plasma is Plasma everywhere. So whatever we teach you can be applied in Linux. So here as well, to all those guys that say I can't install ArcoLinux, this is rubbish. ArcoLinux ISO, arcolinux.org, right? Go and download this and download it from some mirror here. Follow the videos that we make how to install an ArcoLinux system. Use the spices. So it's all explained. It is a project of 7 years, right? All the facts probably have been covered, and if not, we make a video. Simple as that. So here we are, ArcoLinux, Archway installation, all in one, Arch install, spices. Any ArcoLinux system can be changed into an ArcoLinux system. ArcoLinux is 90% Arch, 5% system configurations from us, and 5% from AWAR. That's it. We are Arch with, and that's the fun, we've called the spices, right? In each meal you use spices to make it nice. If you ever installed ArcoLinux and then Xfce, you know the look, right? You can make it much nicer with icons and wallpapers and maybe change the bar, etc, etc. And that's the spicing. You're spicing, right? That's how we make it nice. And that's what we like, of course. We don't want to do that each single time. We want to just get our packages in and have a nice Plasma, or have a nice Xfce, or have a nice i3. If you get the i3 from Arch, it's black and a bar, done. The rest is up to you. We don't like that, right? That's why we call it spices, and there's an app for that. It's actually called spices. And the videos have been, wow, right? Many videos about the ArcoLinux spices application. We used to make it very complex, so if you go way back in time, you'll see that there are 4, 5, 6 buttons, and then we said, keep it simple. KISS, get the repos in, get the keys in, get the mirrors in, and then sudo pacman -s, go for it. Install anything you want. 300 plus packages. Okay, wow. Sorry. It's important to know we're no more than 3 ISOs, right? That's the message. We're more than that. We are at Xfce, which probably I can skip because what are we doing, right? We are in advanced. We are removing Xfce4 and Xfce4 goodies. And when we do this, we're going to install it again. I have to make the movie, right? I have to make the video. Just to check if all's okay. But yeah, I see all is okay by looking at the packages. Maybe there's some package missing. I don't know. Don't think so. So okay, let's do the Xfce4, then we are complete and we can actually say we've done all of them. Alright, next video is Xmonet then. All software you can select. It will be downloaded, it will be installed. Make sure you have a stable internet. Erase everything. This is the look that you get if you order an SSD or a hard disk or an NVMe and you order it from the shop, you put it in your machine. That's the look. Unpartitioned space or unknown partition table. There's nothing. It's empty. Clean slate. Fun. And we go for the rest of the parameters. And off we go. I always wait till I see the syncing, the numbers that go up. Voila. Now we know the hard disk is partitioned and he's going to write everything to the root with a file, well, no, an app, rsync, from one compressed package to the system. All right. Xfce. Okay. Xfce. Ctrl-Alt-F. If you want to do this, maybe you better do an easy installation. Eh? I hope you get that this is a bit silly. This is the same thing I'm doing now. I am installing Xfce, removing Xfce, and then installing Xfce. That's what's happening now. I hope you understand that. This is super silly. Easy installation is actually much better if you want to have Xfce. Why was I going to this thing? Maybe for information, I don't know. Right? We remove Xfce. I was here for something else, but probably for this, right? Easy installation. All right. So Xfce. Arch wiki. How many times have I written this? Thousands times. And then sound, Bluetooth, printing, whatever, right? And in this case, Xfce. All right, Arch wiki. Make this a little bit bigger, maybe. And you know the drill. Go to here, go to here. Display. Drop down, boom. And that's the fun with desktops. Desktops have this somewhere in their system settings. Plasma has that. Cinnamon has that. That's the fun. Mate has that. Tiling window managers, nothing, right? There's Xrender, A-render, do it yourself. There's nothing. It's a tiling window manager. It manages windows. Stop. This is a complete desktop. So we have Xfce4 as a group, Xfce4 goodies as a group. You can click on these things and then you say, aha, when I type sudo pacman -s Xfce4 goodies, I get mousepad, parole, which in my case would be VLC. I don't want this, I want VLC. But there's MPF, MPV, right? And so on and so on. There are so many audio and video tools. You can all find them in Calamares. And SophieRem, Eric, don't forget, promote your own products. SophieRem, I just clicked it away, I think. Okay, he's coming. So SophieRem, Sophie, let's do it again, because I clicked something, I don't know what I typed. I guess we can't do this at this point in time in a live environment, which is good to know. But yes, click, click, quick test, hop, 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 hop. This is the real metal thing. Voila, it works. So this is actually the choice that you can have in Calamares, but then in software and software installer and remover. Soft, and then the I from installer and the rem from remover. So just a click and this thing is installed. Patience games written in Guile. scheme or something. Click and it's gone again. And you see here what we do, -s, rs, voila. So it's working, just not here, and virtual machine as seems. Yeah, virtual machine is changing all the time. That's also important to tell you. One time, 7 years ago, I wasted 3 days on VirtualBox because I was building Arch Labs ISO and it wouldn't boot, and I changed so many things, and then suddenly I had the idea, let's install it on real metal. Poof, everything worked. That was frustrating. So a virtual machine is what it is. It's not the real metal thing. Learn from my mistakes, have the reflex to burn it on a USB and install it on real metal, and then realize, wow, it was VirtualBox who was what was the bottleneck. All right, that was a painful moment, and as you see, you don't forget these things. So we have information here about Xfce, the menu, the whisker menu is what something that we like. Is this little thing, because you can actually search for something. Vivaldi is not there. You see NVIDIA is here, right? But some point in Calamares, we check, hey, he booted up with line number 1, not with line number 2 of NVIDIA. So we remove NVIDIA. So when you boot up, that's gone. There are typical applications, although a la carte, GNOME. And yes, we're in Xfce, but you have here some information. Normally you don't need any of this, but this is interesting, the tips and the tricks and the troubleshooting. Because of problems and issues on your machine, you might be helped if you look at that. So many things, right? Here's the slider, and there's the page, and then of course Xfce, all the links. But I've made, I spent, I think, an afternoon to go to arcolinux-d.com. D stands for the desktops, and every single one of these pages, right, got an extra addendum. Here are sources. So we're on ArcoLinux-D. If you followed the video, I think it was OpenBox, I'm not sure anymore. One of the videos of this series, I've explained what our past was, and that explains why we have websites like this. In the beginning, I started with Arch Labs. Arch Labs was pure OpenBox. Then I wanted my i3 in Arch Labs, and we merged it together. We had OpenBox and i3. Then we created Arch Merge, and kind of a split. Arch Labs continued its way, and I continued my way on Arch Merge and added Xfce. And that's why we have information on arcolinux.com about Xfce. Later on, we built the ArcoLinux-D ISO, and which meant that we could have a choice of desktops. And later on ArcoLinux-B, and later on how to create an ISO, Carly, and so on. So the project started off with just OpenBox, Arch Labs, and then later on Arch Merge. So that's why we see here information also on arcolinux.com about Xfce and OpenBox and i3, because of the fact that we started with Arch Merge. Okay, so get to know your past. You do not start with ArcoLinux just all these ideas and projects and what ifs at one time. It's a city that you build up. SimCity. So one link, docs, got information, need information about a certain application, go for it. And GitLab might be also interesting to have a look. Is there maybe an issue? Can we find any information about Thunar and what information is available? The last update 7 hours ago, there was an update. PT is a Portuguese, probably. So Xfce4 is something you need to remember. Translation. Xfce4 is the world's largest localization community for open source projects. Calamares is also linked to it. And as you see, there are already some mentions here, most active. But we're deviating, right? But yeah, translation is important. That's actually a question users ask always. Eric, why are things not completely in French? Well, if they don't translate it, you get the English one, you get the standard one. And that's certainly true for i3 and all the tiling window managers, Xmonet, BSB, WM, awesome, right? They don't have that. They don't have this, how do you say, a shell and a layer, that's better. A layer over, well, the default English one. Like Windows, remember Windows is in essence an English thing, and then Chinese comes over, Japanese comes over, Dutch comes over, German, right? But it's not available for so many desktops, but it is for the desktops, right? Like Mate, Cinnamon, Xfce. But if they forget to translate it, sorry, it's gonna be in English, right? And that's nothing we can do about it. That's a very important message. We can't solve that thing. And the only thing is actually indeed to go to one of those guys and say, okay, we want to translate this and help them translate it. Because it's time. 1023 translated messages. A lot of work goes into this. That's the PO file. Something to remember, PO. All right, so Xfce, how are you doing, my friend? Oh yeah, we're ready. Okay, so the information is to be found here. Also the arcolinux.com, arcolinux-d. How many videos did I make actually? So sometimes we see some numbers in front of them. So I actually made videos on Xfce that might be still referring to older names, right? ArcoNet and Arco Pro and Arco Plasma are from February 2024, but will exist already 7 years. So here we show you some things, how to theme your Xfce panel. It's still valid, right? Don't get caught up in names. It's all the same thing. Conkeys, how to get them ready, making windows transparent. Look at the things I've made in the past, all purple, right? Just to explain you things, and that's one of my keyboards. I think that's, yeah, it's that. I don't have that anymore. That one is gone. I look around, no. So this gray thing, I don't have this anymore. It's all black now. So fun times, explaining you a lot of things, but it's time to reboot. Let me play a little bit with Xfce, see if it's all good. But like I said, if you want to have Xfce, ArcoNet, easy installation, right? Do the easy installation. Let's, I know what we can do. Let's put something in the spotlight again. None, I literally mean none of the Linux distributions are the way you like it. None. Okay? There's always something that bugs you, and it might be a super small thing, like 99% it's okay, but there's always this but, right? Have a look at the code that I create. Get Nemesis on ArcoLinux. If you install the ArcoLinux tweak tool, you have the ATT as well, ArcoLinux tweak tool. Okay, same thing, same result. It will get code, it will create a folder data, it will create, well, git clone arcolinux-nemesis, and this contains all the knowledge you need, all kind of reasoning. When you're on Garuda, remove this. When you're on NeverOS, remove that. So a lot of information is in here. Archbang, Archcraft, Big Linux, Ariser, Manjaro, Garuda, EOS, right? Reborn OS. There is this basically a tool, and learn how to script by reading the code, watching videos, and you can set any distribution the way you like it. And of course we're focusing on ArcoLinux distributions. I did exactly the same thing with Linux Mint. Maybe we should combine this in this video. I have never spoken about that in any of the videos, but github.com, everybody has a past. My past is Linux Mint. This is 169 repositories I see here. We're now using Calamares, this Calamares on ArcoLinux. When I type Linux Mint, you'll see that I have an history, right? But this is a recent one, January 19th. So 21.3, 21.2, 21.1. Eric keeps track of what happens on Linux Mint Cinnamon. That's clear, right? I don't use it, I play around with it, just as long as to make a video basically. And i3 installation, sure, 2021, and go back in time. 18.1 Mate, 18, 2017, right, 2016, 2015. So Linux Mint is my my history. And in here we have something similar. That's my current selection. Remove this and that, install this and that, get me keys and repos, install JetWM, install JetWM, that's the extras and that's the actual installation. Get me some nice icons, other icons, Samba I want, edu icons. You see, it's basically nothing more, nothing less than this. We start with 400, remove me the rubbish I don't want. And I'm sure that we put rubbish on your system, right? And all you need to do is add more lines. Remove with everything that depends on it, the S. No confirm, no max. I want no max Qt 5 git. That's the one I want. So if it happens to contain no max, I don't want it. I want the Qt 5 one. And so on. I don't want this one. It's called Hard Info 2, I think these days. And if it's called 3 in the future, well, voila, we just change the number. Parubin is not the one I want. I think it's parugit that I want, and yebin is not the one I want. Yegit is the one I want. So if this runs everywhere, right? This runs on all Arch Linux ISOs. I'm also a distro hopper. I just don't stay on it. I just play with it, and I remove things that I don't want. But these are things that from us. These are on our ISO. And that's for your support, not my support. I don't need it. So the first thing I do is remove this. I don't need the driver. I don't need the driver. And so on. So it's up to you. And Sublime Text is there, but there are other IDEs. So drop them and read. And there's a lot of code in here. If Pacman is installed, then remove it. And there are these reasonings, these choices. If you find archbang in etc OS release, then we are on archbang. Running fixkey, because there was an issue, we run fixkey. Making backups or imported files to start OpenBox, etc. Right? We are executing things to make it work again. Making it CPO was not set the way I wanted. I don't want compression XZ, I want compression ZSTD, like on ArcoLinux. So I change any ArcoLinux distro out there the way I see fit. I've made my choices. You make your choices, and all you need to do is, well, start reading some code and intervene, right? Intervention, and change the code. There are lots of things here that I don't use either as well. So there are things that I don't use, like here. These are the numbers I'm using. And I make from time to time some fun stuff like this one. Install ML4W+. It's not installed, right? 191. I'm not using it by default, but it's there. It's basically getting the stuff from Stefan Rabe. And I should check it out again if it's still working. But voila. Idea is enough, right? I install all of this and play around with it. It's freedom. Linux is freedom. All you need is knowledge. Have a look at the code that's in here and see if you can figure it out. If you can start with one file, as for example the 400, remove stuff, and then another one to install stuff, and then gradually you'll see that your own ArcoLinux Nemesis will grow. And certainly learning about GitHub can be an advantage. Oh, that is a good question. Where did I put this? On arcolinux-iso.com. Learn Git. Wow. Great, Eric. You amaze me. So here is everything you need to know how to work with GitLab on GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket. But by default, I'm gonna use GitHub. But if you rather want to have GitLab or rather want to have Bitbucket, it's all explained. And these are the resource files and Pacman codes or our own repo. We're making our own repo. I mean, I teach you everything, right? From A to Z, you can make your own distribution with ArcoLinux. But having your own GitHub is interesting because you can do git clone, right? You can go, this one, for example, never changed this since the video, but you can git clone this thing. All right. So that was an, well, trying to motivate you guys to do some coding. Don't want ChatWM this time around. Normally I would say yes, right? But I've made choices. Script to remove elements with no questions asked, because I want to go and eat and come back and everything needs to be installed. So these drivers, I don't need them, though they are removed. But it takes a while, and this is time saving. Building this each time with each new kernel, they need to be built again, and it takes too long. So it makes sense to remove it because one, I don't need them. And then the Zen headers, I don't want the kernels. I just want the Linux kernel. Last 7 years, my systems have been stable with the Linux kernel. Why would I keep Linux Zen? Not so much of fun as the conkeys. Yes, that's actually one of the things I started with in Linux. It's good to have structure and learn the coding and all that. But, right, if I need, there's only one thing I need to know is how hot is the computer. Sensors. This is of course VirtualBox. So let me show you how hot my computer is becoming, and that's all I need to know. Right, sensors. From time to time, I'll type and see, is it not getting too hot because I'm compiling or making ISOs? And then a quick look, but this is okay, right? Super okay. And the memory, I have the memory of the CPU, and if I really want to see the memory, I do this. Here's the memory. That's actually a little bit nicer like this. But these days I kind of love Ctrl-Alt-End, which is then BTOP with our own look and our own design. I can quickly filter, give me a simple screen recorder. Yes, it's running. Is PyChem running? Sure, it's running. Is Sexy Hotkey Daemon running? Check. right? I don't need the GUI. I probably, well, mostly go to the BTOP. I like the design, I like how it works. There are some videos about it as well if you want to have a look at BTOP. So conkeys, it's a choice whether you want it or not. In this case, we remove all kinds of things. These things were not installed, so they're not removed. This is okay, right? This is not an error. This is just okay because we're making scripts for anything ArcoLinux based. Anything ArcoLinux based. I git clone it, I run it, and I get in. Well, it's about control, right? I don't like the artwork, the wallpapers on Xfce. I've seen them all. Don't want them, right? Don't need Chinese fonts. I don't need Japanese fonts. I'm never gonna use Korean fonts. And on it goes. I don't like Vim. Bye. Simple screen recorder, target not found. Okay. I'm gonna install it later on. And on it goes. And some of these things, right, will maybe collide. That's okay. As long as there's one. This is the development version. And on it goes. All right. So Xfce. How far are we? Okay, cool. Sudo reboot. As you see, it's going to go to Archbang, Reborn OS, all that is skipping everything. Only this one. We're on ArcoLinux, and I do something on ArcoLinux. We're not on Archcraft, so I do nothing. Just goes over it and done. And this is the for all. Xorg, Xkill, copying cursor file. I've enabled the trim, FS trim timer, stuff like that. Well, do whatever you like, basically. That's the point of arcolinux-nemesis. SuperX. What do we get after this installation? Well, I'm gonna do a reboot. Sometimes Xfce really needs it. Well, probably goes for, it's a safe way, right? For any desktop that we have, it's safer to just reboot. But sometimes you can save a few seconds and then, okay, log out, log in. And if you feel that's not working, then reboot. So we've you see all kinds of things popping up. arcolinux-nemesis, the point is automated installation. Basically, that's the point. I go for dinner, I go to eat, I go to lunch, and the machine does its work. I have my Discord, I just log in and I'm there, right? I have my InSync, which is a tool to synchronize with one of these guys. Paid, by the way, working, so why not? I was at some point in time the maintainer of InSync on AOR. So yes, if it's not maintained anymore, I'll just maintain it myself. Telegram, desktop, and then of course our tool to greet you. We have got already a wallpaper. Why? Because I've made changes inside the arcolinux-nemesis. I've copy pasted the configuration. So I'm getting in all the designs I could ever like and love. Let's take a nice one. This one is recognizable. And then a space here. Let's go to space. Voila. And we have here possibilities to change. I've changed it to the Sardi icons, as you can see. It's no longer the servant icons, but there is so much installed. Appearance, icons. So at the top, the Candy Beauty icon theme. And then the Numix icon theme. I think we better take the circle one or the circle light. Yeah, that's better. The Sardi arc. But there's also Sardi flat arc, for example. What else? The Ghost Flexible is also a nice one, all in white. That door is closed. Ah, there's one I should make. And then Sardi Mono Numix. Surf and Arc. All surfing, have a look at it. Just different folders here. Right, different folders. Et voila. And there's of course a lot more cursors and stuff like that. And it's up to you to make it and rise it the way you see fit. If you say, why did Eric move this panel preference this to the top, right? Okay, no problemo. How many seconds was that? Done. It's back. The previous look was this, and then start the icons. Doesn't take that long to rise it, right? It's just up to you. Start the arc was the default back in the before the change. Want it back? You have it back. I'm thinking about the kernel. Yeah. So I have to we have a new application called ArcoLinux Kernel Manager, and the default is a little tux, a little friend, or a little penguin, but we'll have to make an icon for it. So a new Sardi and Surfer release, something I can do somewhere in July maybe. So here you choose the kernels to remove it or to install it. And this one is the only one I have now. I've removed the Zen. All right. That's it for now. I think you can install it like this as well. There's no problem. I mean, ArcoNet Easy will give you the same Xfce. ArcoNet Advanced and then choose Xfce. Seems to be exactly the same thing. So it's always a choice of packages. What do I want to choose? What do I want to install? May I give you one tip about HardInfo2? We talked about it earlier on. This is HardInfo2, and it gives you information about your machine. And it's actually the first time I've selected it since the update. Did not know they had this wallpaper behind it. It's a bit annoying. I don't know if we can do anything. Disable theme. Wow, this is better, right? This I can read. My eyesight is not that good. Team Graffiti. Oh my god, what did I do? Oh my god, Anime PC. Sure. Point is, there's a lot of information in here. It's a GUI. It's a GUI. It's super interesting to have a look. Okay, what is my machine? What does it contain? File system or environment variables. There are lots of information that you can look at. Processor. All right. Enjoy ArcoLinux and enjoy the learning, right? We are here to teach you Linux, and we happen to be on Arch. Cheers.